Diddy will be sued. And I say will be because nothing has been filed yet, by at least 120 people in the next 30 days. So
those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff.
The buzz around Shah Diddy is reaching a fever pitch as rumors swell that he could be released from prison soon. It's a twist no one expected, and the internet is flooded with speculation, insider leaks, and theories about what's really going on behind the scenes. Could Diddy, one of the most powerful figures in entertainment, really be set to walk free after months of shocking allegations, lawsuits, and an indictment that rocked his empire? Let's dive into the whispers, the rumored legal loopholes, and the explosive claims that have captivated the public.
We're monitoring another push to free Sean Diddy Combs tonight, with his legal team citing new evidence in an updated bail proposal. The music mogul agreeing to around-the-clock security and cutting out contact with basically anyone but his legal team to get out of jail ahead of his trial scheduled for May of next year for charges he allegedly coerced and abused women for years.
Word on the street is that Diddy's legal team has found a way to weaken the FBI's case against him or even dismantle it entirely, potentially securing his release. According to insiders, it all comes down to what his lawyers are calling gross misconduct during the investigation, including a controversial raid on his jail cell. This wasn't just any raid. It allegedly involved federal agents seizing confidential materials that were supposed to be protected under attorney-client privilege. If true, this could be a major misstep that might invalidate key evidence. Diddy's legal team argues that the breach wasn't a minor issue but a deliberate act meant to sabotage his defense. The story goes that on the second day of the raid, a meeting took place with high-level federal officials, including prosecutors from the Southern District of New York. It's alleged that these prosecutors specifically directed the search of Diddy's cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. His lawyers contend that the operation wasn't about prison safety, as authorities have claimed, but about fishing for information to strengthen the case against him. They argue it was less about justice and more about stacking the deck in the prosecution's favor. To make matters worse, Diddy's attorneys have accused investigators of eavesdropping on his private conversations with his legal team. They claim this kind of surveillance is not only unethical but illegal. If these allegations are true, it could severely damage the prosecution's case. Evidence gathered through questionable means could be tossed out, and the integrity of the entire investigation could come under scrutiny. For Diddy, this could be the lifeline he needs in his fight to clear his name.
Called this afternoon at the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell, just yesterday. What were the contents of those raids?
Well, apparently, according to the defense, their legal documents, the government saying no. On the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a calendar.
But the drama doesn't end there. Rumors are flying that Diddy has a plan ready for the moment he's released, and it's not what anyone would expect. Some sources speculate that Diddy might try to flee the country if granted bail, a wild theory but not entirely out of the question given the high stakes he's facing. The idea of a potential escape has sparked intense debates online, with fans and critics guessing where he might go. Some think he could hide out on an island or in a country without an extradition treaty with the US, while others believe he might simply vanish, using his wealth and connections to live off the grid. While these are just rumors, the very possibility has added yet another layer of intrigue to the already sensational story. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team seems to be pulling out all the stops to secure his release. They've reportedly filed a motion claiming that the conditions at the Metropolitan Detention Center are so horrific they amount to a violation of his rights. The facility, infamous for overcrowding and understaffing, has been described as hell on earth by former inmates and legal experts. Diddy's lawyers are highlighting recent incidents of violence and neglect, including cases where inmates suffered serious injuries or worse due to inadequate supervision. They argue that keeping Diddy there while awaiting trial is not only unjust but could be life-threatening.
And I understand that he has a shrink coming by his cell to see him several times a day. And now there's talk about putting him in, it's like a bubble. It's like a cell that has like a plexiglass wall in it where they have inmates watching you. That's actually their job, to keep an eye on the inmates that are on watch.
At the same time, Diddy's legal team is working hard to reshape public perception of him. They've been highlighting his legacy as a music icon, philanthropist, and self-made entrepreneur who has spent decades building his empire. In their narrative, Diddy isn't the villain has been portrayed as in court documents and media reports, but rather a flawed individual who has been unfairly targeted. It's a calculated move designed to sway public opinion and possibly soften the impact of the allegations against him. Of course, not everyone is buying it. Critics argue that Diddy's legal troubles are a result of his own actions, and that his attempts to deflect blame onto the authorities are just a desperate bid to avoid accountability. Still, the accusations of misconduct by federal agents have raised eyebrows, even among those who believe he's guilty. After all, if the government is willing to bend the rules to secure conviction, what does that say about the fairness of the system?
I came here today just to tell the truth, so hopefully we can get down to the bottom of this. I'm 100%, the charges against me are 100% false, and hopefully due to time, we'll start to see that.
As the debate continues, one thing is clear: this case is far from over. Even if Diddy is released, he still faces a mountain of legal challenges, including multiple lawsuits and an upcoming trial that's expected to be one of the most high-profile courtroom battles in recent memory. For now, though, all eyes are on the possibility of his release and the questions surrounding what might happen next. Will he walk out of prison only to face an even tougher fight in court, or will he take matters into his own hands and disappear, leaving the legal system scrambling in his wake? Stay tuned. This story is only getting more complicated. And if there's one thing we've learned from everything that's happened so far, it's that nothing about this case is predictable. Could this be the start of a dramatic comeback for one of music's biggest stars? Or is it just the beginning of an even bigger scandal? The truth, as they say, is stranger than fiction, and in Diddy's case, it seems stranger than anyone could have imagined. The controversies surrounding Diddy are far from over, and even the possibility of his release from prison doesn't change the fact that he's facing what could be the most intense legal battle of his life. The allegations against him have been staggering, not only because of their severity but because they paint a picture of a man whose glamorous public persona allegedly concealed years of troubling behavior. But how did it all reach this boiling point, and what exactly is Diddy doing to fight back? Let's unpack the lawsuits, the accusations, and his defense strategy to see how the once untouchable mogul is navigating his fall from grace. Diddy's troubles began brewing long before his recent arrest. The first domino fell in November 2023 when singer and model Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner of over a decade, filed a lawsuit that sent shockwaves through the industry. Cass's claims were graphic and heartbreaking, recounting years of physical and emotional mistreatment. She described a toxic relationship where she allegedly endured relentless harm, coercion, and manipulation. But what made her story even more shocking were her allegations about the so-called pride events Diddy allegedly orchestrated, which, according to the lawsuit, were elaborate and disturbing in nature. Cassie claimed she was forced into these situations as part of a broader pattern of control and intimidation.